Good morning and welcome to LMR Live. I'm Nancy Maria Balach, Artistic Director of the Living Music Resource and your host for today. We're a little different. We're in the AM, so I'm hoping that you have some coffee nearby or whatever your preferred beverage is. Does anyone in the house have coffee? We should have had coffee for everyone next time. Coffee talk. Oh, someone does. Fantastic. Cheers. So grab that cup of Java or whatever is your fancy. And we hope you're ready to engage in some conversation and do some edutainment. So if you want to engage with us, feel free to send in questions via Facebook or tweet them at us. We have folks standing by to take those questions, and I'm thrilled to share the ones that have already come in. So first thing, I need to introduce and thank Benjamin Werba for providing some ambiance and music this morning. Those of you that watched our first episode this season saw Ben in a little different role. He traveled with us to Nashville and got to record in a studio there. That was episode 1 for this season. And we appreciate you being an affiliate to the show and being our music director. Yes? Yeah. Fantastic. Fantastic. I want to also mention the amazing team of students that work with me on this project. I want to point out Ava Street, Haley Terrell, Corinne Lacher, Alexis Rose, Reagan Arnold, and Lily Swilly. You're going to be getting to know these people as we go throughout the season. They're spectacular, and they work really hard, and they are learning skills to make them, what? More marketable in the 21st century of music. I love it. Yes! So this is a special time of year. For the 5th year, the Living Music Resource has partnered with the Sarah Isom Center for Women and Gender Studies on their amazing program called SarahFest. SarahFest is a festival that celebrates community through the arts to create new realities that reflect a better and more equitable world for all. And I can say with heartfelt confidence that the folks that are working in the Isom Center are doing this very thing. I want to personally thank Jamie Harker, Teresa Starkey, and Kevin Kozar. Teresa's with us here today. Let's give it up for those three. I am so thankful that they've allowed us to be a partner with them because we are also on a mission of collaboration, education, and entertainment, and it's all about relationships and community. So who's ready for some edutainment? Woo! All right, let's meet today's guests. Are they in the shot yet, Reagan? Are they in the shot? All right, don't sweep out yet. I want this to be really magnificent. Today's guests are incredible musicians. They make up the band Chócala. And last night, I've been scoping them via the internet, but last night I got to experience them in person on the campus of the University of Mississippi, and it was so much fun. How do you describe this band? I'm going to go with what I've read, but it just sums it up. They are this band from Charlotte that infuses Latin rhythms, rock, and jazz with some psychedelia. Yeah. All right. So let's pan out and meet the three. We have Michael Anderson, we have Lisa Ortiz, and Claudia Ortiz. Give it up for the band. Thank you for waking up early after a late night performing a fabulous show. I was actually a little tired from busting a move. I was impressed. So first off, what are your impressions of Oxford, the university, or the town? I'm putting them on the spot. What has been your impression?
We love it. It's been so beautiful. Everybody's been so kind, and the weather has been wonderful. Just so great.
So we can get you back, maybe? You'll come visit us
absolutely.
again? Wonderful. So I want to start off first with how you all met. Now, two of you, it's obvious. We have a brother-sister duo here on the couch. So that's obvious. But how did you all meet, and explain who we're missing?
So Lisa and I met on my second birthday. We have the same birthday, 2 years apart.
No.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
That's how we met. She showed me up on my birthday party, and then fast forward a couple years, and we met the member who isn't here, Davey Blackburn. He is just a force. When we come back as a whole band, you'll be able to see him play. He looks like he has 8 arms going, and so we were in a project together. Davey knew Michael from just being in the music scene in Charlotte for a little while, and that's how we all kind of came together and started making music.
Pretty cool. And when was that?
3-ish years
Almost
ago?
3 years
Almost 3
ago.
years ago.
Almost 3 years.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna fast forward to just last night. What was amazing is we found out last minute that Davey was not going to be able to join us, and Davey was the one I had been mainly communicating with, and there was this bit of nervousness, what's going to happen, but in true professional, manner, you guys proceeded like it was just any normal given day, but it wasn't, right? Was it different performing without the percussionist?
It was totally different, particularly for Thacker Mountain
Yeah.
Radio Hour. We hadn't ever played a show without all of us being present. We hadn't had a chance to practice. We all just, we found out as we were leaving Charlotte, basically, that Davey wasn't going to join us. So we talked about what songs we could probably pull off, like 2 or 3 songs last minute for the radio hour. And as we were playing it, it was what it was going to be, and we had a lot of fun.
So I'm going to pause you there because I really want the students to take a moment and think about this, because in university, we have a responsibility as your professors to teach and prepare you in all this. But sometimes, I don't know if we set up enough the fact that a lot of life truly ends up being improv and how you have to make it work in the moment. So I think it's a real testament to your professionalism and your ability to be able to problem solve within that and make it work so beautifully. Because did you feel like something was missing last night? Absolutely. No, it just was so cohesive and enjoyable. And I wasn't at Thacker, but I watched it on Facebook, and it was
awesome.
just great. I just
Cool.
can't imagine. I'm gonna have to prepare myself for when Davey's with you to experience 8 arms. I might lose my mind, right? How did you come up with the name for the band?
We had been throwing around several names, but we wanted something that was lighthearted and that was easy for people to pronounce too, because so Davey works as a botanist, and he has such a beautiful relationship with the plants, but has also all these names of really cool plants, but they were really hard to say, so much so that I don't even remember what it was.
Totally. No, it's like when you go to the nursery, right? And they have the long name. I'm like, I have no
Yeah.
idea. You make
Yeah.
up your own pseudonym.
Yeah.
Right, and
The purple one.
Yeah, exactly.
but we had been considering different names, and I don't know, I randomly had thought about Chócala that day, and I decided to bring it up in practice, and it was just a moment where it all clicked, and we were like, what about that, though?
And you were all in agreement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, do some people think it has to do with chocolate?
all the time.
All the time. But I have to admit, that was my initial, I was right there. I was like, hey, chocolate. And then I was like, no. Looking a little farther, we were very excited to find out the high five and, that kind of thought process.
Yeah.
Cool. So talk to me about your early musical training. Like what is your first recollection of being a musician or being introduced to music? Do you want to share, Michael?
Sure. First introduction to music was family related, actually. Cousin or second cousin that's a little older than me grabbed up all the kids one day when we were hanging around Grandma's house and took us to the basement. It had an array of different instruments. He's a professional trumpet player. And he kind of just took us all, gave us something, and said, here's how you make a sound with that. Here's how you make a sound with that. Here's how you make a sound with that. And then kind of, guided us through something like Mary Had a Little Lamb or something.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But it wasn't great, obviously, but it was a great moment in the sense that it really kind of connected with me that like, I had loved, all children love music for the most part, and really loved digging into what little albums that my parents had. I'd listen to them over and over, but just that moment of like, oh wait, I could do that. Like, not even as like a career move or anything like that at
Right.
the time, but just like, oh, I can be a part of creating something that I enjoy listening to. So
That's pretty neat. You had that experience, you know, in the family's house in that way. I want
Yeah.
my music educators, you know, you have such power when they have those, what do they call them? Often a musical, either farm and a zoo, or when you test out instruments, what do they call that? Instrument petting zoo. Thank you. Everyone else is looking at me like I'm crazy, but I'm not. Well, I am crazy, but not on this topic. An instrument petting zoo, and it really is. And I love how you said it. I think sometimes societally we think if you're playing an instrument, that's going to be your career, and it doesn't have to be. It's just an opportunity for someone to express themselves in a new way, to identify, connect themselves in a different way. And if you don't expose the individual to that opportunity, they may not have the profound experience like you did in a family member's house to test out the instrument. So
Right.
you have power, music educators, to change the path and the scope of someone's life, which is pretty amazing. All right. How about you, Lisa?
Our mom is very musical. She taught herself how to play guitar and mandolin at 12, and she sings. So since we were little, we were always harmonizing.
Has Mom ever jumped into the band?
No, she
Not
should.
into this band,
Yet.
but we've played in Charlotte. We've played open mic nights as like
Yeah?
like Mom and Lisa and I, and you know, we've always been singing and playing music together, so it's just natural and
Neat.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. What about formal musical training? Anything along those lines?
I had I had a little bit of violin for like 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
Elementary school.
And then you lost it or gave it up? No.
It just did, you know, it was a little too early, I think, for me.
Yeah.
But then in middle school, signed up with the band and started playing saxophone through high school marching band.
Neat.
I took piano lessons for 3 to 4 years before the age of 8. But moving around, that was the only formal training because eventually we just didn't find a teacher. But I always kept playing something.
Got it.
And then I took violin lessons.
You said Suzuki method?
Mhm.
Pretty neat.
So I think that I already had just from singing with Mom, I had a pretty strong ear, and I think the Suzuki method just really drove that home. We moved around a lot. Once we got to North Carolina, we didn't really have an instructor anymore, but we just continued playing. In high school, I taught myself how to play guitar, and then in college, I started just kind of made a petting zoo of my own instruments.
I like it.
Ended up grabbing the banjo, an accordion.
So what were you studying at university?
Exercise physiology.
Exercise physiology. Down here we had math and philosophy.
And I was
Lisa?
an English major.
English. So outside of our scope and bubble of music, and we have people in this room who are outside the scope of music, yes? But love music, yes? All right. So how did you make what clicked to make the big transition? I really want to focus on the music.
I'm not sure.
We're probably all still transitioning on that.
I think, well, it's always finding that balance, yes? How do we put that mosaic career together, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of us are really just like holding on to an idea of making it, you know?
Right.
We really are, I'm tremendously grateful that I get to make art with my sister and with chosen family now, and that we get to share it and connect with people in the way that we have been. And if we've been saying yes to opportunities that present themselves, and we're like present and here for it. But I'm not sure that career is.
goal.
Well, I want to stop there. I think that is really important by today's standards. I think we have, and I don't like generalizations. I will say, though, I think there's a strong group of people who venture into the performing arts today that just want to make it big. It's like, how fast can I be famous, or how fast can I make my fortune? I find it really refreshing that you're focusing on, and correct me if I'm stating this wrong, you're focusing on the message that you're transcending, or the connection that you're making, or the relationships that you're fostering. And I want to use that as a segue to the writing of your music. I mean, what's the first part of that process for you guys?
The music, just
Jamming.
jamming.
Jamming?
Yeah.
We're not a jam band.
We're not a jam band,
Not
but
a
we do
jam
jam.
Yeah?
But
I mean, do you
No, we-
have a concept that you're inspired by, or is there text, or is it the beat?
sometimes, but more often than not, it really is us getting together and doing that, what we were talking about, that expression, right? And so that leads to a melody, you know, and you bounce that off with somebody else. They interpret it a certain way, and you know, it becomes this loop of mutual expression.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
And so we just kind of do that, and when you can kind of feel it start to gel, when it starts to be a little nugget, you know?
I think that's important for people studying performing arts. I mean, I think we spend so much time in the practice room and focusing on oneself, but what is that two-way communication that's happening through the art? I think we need to have reminders of what are we trying to say? Why are we trying to say it? And who are we communicating with? Which may be more natural in an ensemble situation versus the solo artist. So I just think there's such social initiative in your pieces. I mean, did anyone else pick up on that last night? Absolutely. I want to shift to a question from, I want to go to Lily had a great question. Your songs are easily connected with messages of honesty and the acceptance of the dark side, quotes. What made you decide to be an advocate through music this way? Was it an easy decision, or did it take a certain experience?
I have always, I wouldn't say always, definitely this project has helped me be very open about depression that I've struggled with since I was young. And I think part of getting older, I did have interactions or experiences that just helped me understand that that's a very normal thing. You don't meet somebody that doesn't have some kind of trauma or carrying some kind of pain. And so it was important for me to make that safe space for myself, but that's definitely in the messaging of our music, is that all experiences are normal, and it's an opportunity for growth, and nothing's weird, you know? We're all just trying to be humans as best we can, so I definitely try to express, and that's what I mean by accepting the darkness. Whenever we try to fight something, it seems like that's what amplifies it. When you start to lean in and accept that it's there, that's when you can take back the power and understand that it's okay.
Absolutely. For my honors class, I had them, it's midterms here on campus this past week, and a lot of people were stressed. Had them watch a TED Talk about the idea of embracing the stress that you're facing as opposed to detaching from it. And yeah, and I want to interject too. My daughter, a role model for her, suggested this idea that everyone's always carrying around an invisible backpack, and you never know what's in that backpack. And sometimes you look at someone and you think everything's just great, everything's perfect, but everyone is dealing with something. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty amazing that you're able to transfer that into this art that then creates a forum for people to explore that themselves. Mm-hmm. Did you feel that way last night? There's something you said, and I don't know if I'll quote you right, but it was a heavier topic, but you said how even when you're facing something heavy, you can still have joy.
Yeah.
I think that's important too, that is, you know, how you look at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What is your favorite piece you guys have ever done?
Ooh.
Is that like picking a favorite child?
For
a
me,
little bit.
I don't have a favorite child, nor a favorite student.
I would say it's the Nieblas for me, which is that one particularly about
Yeah.
embracing. That was the first. I've written other songs, but they weren't, I don't know, as true to myself, and this was the first time I felt like I did something that I loved and that really spoke to me. So Tinieblas is always just one of those favorites. The feeling that it carries, the journey of the song, it just one of my favorites.
Got
for
it.
Sure.
How about you, Claudio?
I would. It's really tough, but it's either Reina de Mi or Tinieblas. Yeah.
Tell everyone
which
what those mean in case they don't know.
Reina de Mi means Queen of My, and then like the overall meaning is like Queen of my pain, Queen of my situation, and I guess I talked about this on the podcast that we did yesterday, but listening to these lyrics, I'd never heard lyrics like this come from Lisa before, and so it was just like realizing that my little sister was writing these like incredibly like powerful songs about like standing in her power and like recognizing these things, and those emotions kind of like drive the song, and we all sort of like play into it. And so really like all of the songs carry that emotion. So it's hard to pick a favorite, but if I have to, it's like Reina de Mi or Tinieblas. And Tinieblas
Is darkness. It means darkness. Because one of the lines, I know it sounds kind of cheesy, and part of the reason why I love writing in Spanish is because the imagery is so beautiful and the play on words is really nice. But one of the lines is you can't see the stars without the darkness. So that's where Tinieblas
Beautiful.
comes from.
Beautiful. How about you, Michael?
I think.
Please tell me you're going to pick the one with the duck calling. No, I'm kidding. Because I want to talk about that. But what is your favorite?
I don't know if it's all of them are my favorite.
Yeah.
I think the one I'm probably proudest of is Solo Quiero Bailar.
Yeah?
Just the way that we ended up putting that song together, and I don't know, there's something about it. It was kind of a really fractured writing process when we did it, but now that it's where it is, like I can't hear it any other way, and it's almost like if I hear the first two notes of that melody, then it's muscle memory. Like it just
Wow.
comes out of me. I have to almost try not to play it, you know?
But it's funny you say that, because I think I just had this conversation, I think it was with Corinne this past week. You know, when you work on a piece of music that's really challenging or difficult, you know, maybe that piece you're initially drawn to, like, I have to do this, I have to do this, and then you're in the midst of it and you're like, I hate this piece, I hate it, it's never gonna come to fruition, it's never gonna happen. But once you get over that hill, then it's like this muscle memory, and it's so deep and it's so profound, and you connect to it in a way like nothing else.
Yep.
I find the ones that have the hardest struggle to get to the end are the best. Yes. So I mentioned one of the pieces, and maybe there are more, you use a duck.
Well, it's actually just the mouthpiece of my saxophone.
Is it real? Oh, darn it. We thought it. Who else?
But
Did anyone else think it was a duck calling? Yes. Okay, so explain this, and I should have asked you to demonstrate. Fill us in.
Well, I don't know, the beginning of that song, we oftentimes think of imagery when we write, and one of the images that comes up a lot is jungle, and for me it's space jungle and things like that. So the beginning of the song is very percussive, and it's got this bass line that's kind of anticipatory, and it made me think of the jungle, so I was just kind of like, wasn't necessarily going for duck, but
Sorry,
you know,
I think I just put my foot in my mouth.
Well, I mean, it's a you know, saxophone mouthpiece. It's gonna sound like a duck or something.
I think that's where you were holding it to. Someone
Right, yeah,
help
so
me out. Bail
just
me
kind
out.
of get a little bit
Yes.
of, you know, little pitch change with my hand to get
And
kind
all
of
the
more of
little
that.
kids there last night perked up. They were like, look. Yes.
Well, kids love animals.
Absolutely, they do.
The space jungle bird.
But that's kind of
Space jungle bird,
Exactly.
I like it.
He used
that's kind
to
of
do.
the thought is like it's just a little piece of ambiance that's creating that scenery.
Well, you mentioned last night about music being a universal language, which is, I just believe wholeheartedly. And even just this moment of how we each just connected with that sound and that noise. I mean, it's not that there's a prescriptive answer of what it has to be, but it just resonates on people in different ways. Alexis had a question related to universal language. Can you explain the way in which you believe music is a universal language? Do you have any examples of where you've seen this during your time performing as a group?
I mean, every show that we've played, there have been people in the audience that don't understand Spanish, that don't comprehend it, and have no idea what Lisa is talking about. But they still pay attention, and they have a great time, and they engage with us in a very real and honest way. Particularly at this moment in history, I think it's important for humans to be able to communicate with each other. And we've been invited to spaces where generally people aren't invited to be in. And so
I don't want to insert what I think can you give an example? I'm curious what you're going to say.
Well, this wasn't with Chócala in particular, but we played this one small bar like on the coast in South Carolina. And people were kind of like, wow, they're setting up congas and what's going on? You know, it was just like a sleepy blues bar sort of. And those people had more fun than there was just like, there was like old ladies on the stage just dancing with us. And it was,
Quit talking about me that way. I wasn't there last night. Come on.
But I mean, even, so something that makes me very hopeful is that it's easy to sort of focus on all the like negativity that we're bombarded with, but they're all over the nation. There's like pockets of people that are doing good work in their community and are like creating these like overarching sort of like biomes. So someone from Ole Miss contacted us in Charlotte, North Carolina and said, hey, we're doing this thing and it's progressive and rad, and
those are your words, Teresa.
Yeah. And it's about women empowerment. It's about empowerment of people of color. It's about empowerment of the LGBTQ plus population. Come share the space with us. And so. I don't even remember what my point was.
No, but it is the universal language.
Yeah.
No, but I think what is so beautiful and just so powerful, and we talk about this a lot, and I keep referencing Teresa from Saraisim. We've just had multiple conversations on this. Just how music allows an arena for people to come together and not, I don't mean agree, but have understanding of one another and embark on feelings, and it leads to conversation on things that wouldn't otherwise happen, right?
Well, even in our own band, Michael and Davey don't speak Spanish, and so that feeling is something that we heavily rely on just within our own group. So yeah, I think that in itself speaks to that feeling.
And I agree 100% on today in our world, in our time. We need to be, I think, listening more and getting to know one another as opposed to jumping to that conclusion. I mean, even when you were saying setting up, I think we jump to conclusions, or we see this type of instrument, or we see someone dressed a certain way, or we see this, we jump to a conclusion, and you don't know until you've embarked on that, I don't know, conversation, whatever it may be. However you take it. We're getting deep, and I love it. Seriously. So we got to this. Another question. Do you have any, I'm going to shift to another aspect. Do you have any advice for starting a musical group? And what was your biggest obstacle in getting your group started?
Schedules.
Logistics.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Definitely.
We all have day jobs. We all pretty much have either another music project or some other creative project going on. So making the time to get together and at pace regular enough where we can write songs and enjoy it is the biggest challenge, I think.
I'm so glad you just said that because I'm tying it back to this week. It's been, I'll say it again, it's been midterms at the University of Mississippi and at other schools. And I think when, every phase of one's life brings challenges, and when you're a student, I think there's sometimes this thought, well, at least when I get done with school, it's going to get easier, I'm going to have more time. When I get done with this, it's going to get easier. And I think I'm reading into what you said, so interject. But at every phase, it's an opportunity to learn how to manage and juggle. And you're driving your car to decide where you're going to go, at what speed, where you're going to stop. And I think the advice I was giving in my class was to not always feel like your life's being dictated by everybody else. What are you choosing to do within it? Because then, don't you think that prepares you for when you're in this situation to how to manage? Because I think a lot of people don't achieve what they want merely from logistics of like, how do I make it work? It's so easy to say, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough time. And we never feel like we have enough time, right? Especially nowadays. But we can. Yeah. We can. Let's talk about a few pieces from the album, and I want to hold the album up. I think this is just, isn't it beautiful? I love that vinyl is back. It's just so cool. I love it. And the name of the album is the name of the band, Chócala, yes. Let's talk about a couple pieces that are on here. I wanted you to share a little bit, Lisa, about the Ojos Bobolos.
Yeah.
Will you talk a little bit about that piece?
Absolutely. So, like we were talking about earlier, that's one of the only ones on the album that those words aren't in the name, but Ojos Bobolos is a term for like big eyes, like greedy eyes. But the song is just about the want for everybody's basic needs to be met, for all of us to live in harmony. And it starts off with saying that God didn't tell Adam to raise himself on a pedestal, and he didn't tell him to treat Eve as not equal. And so that's the sentiment of the song is, and two, that we can't judge others when we ourselves are often, at fault for things as well. So just equality is the hope and feel of it.
I have a quote here. Tell me if this is right. The first few lines I wrote were, is it a crime? Does this sound right? Is it a crime to want to see my people with a house, food, and faith on their minds, that all of their dreams can come true and they don't have to flee from hope? My hope for this song is to convey the community effort and the will for change. That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Isn't that beautiful? It's really nice. I strongly suggest you listen to it. It's really lovely. Really lovely.
Thank you.
We've already mentioned a bit the Reina de Mi, excuse me. I really like that piece.
Yeah.
A lot. Speaking of pieces, let's jump. I want to do a little video, sort of short, but just gives a little glimpse of last night. And it's actually a clip from when you were at the governor's mansion. So this will be a good segue to talk about that experience. And some photos from last night. So here's just a little clip snippet. The first thing you hear is not the band. At the end of the video is the band. Just a little snippet. Let's check it out. where was that last clip taking place?
At the Executive Mansion in Raleigh, North Carolina, so the governor's mansion.
Governor's Mansion.
Yeah.
So do you think that was outside of maybe their usual scope and experience?
Definitely.
Not to jump to conclusions at all.
I mean, they were the first ones to tell us this is way outside of our scope and experience. So,
But how
like,
amazing is that to be honest about that and say, come on.
yeah. Fortunately, the governor and the First Lady of NC have been making a big push on letting the state of North Carolina know that it's like a house of the people. It's not just like their house. So they've been, throughout their time there, they've been like focusing on having a bunch of different like cultural events and stuff. And this particular 2019 was dedicated as the year to celebrate North Carolina music. North Carolina, like the roots of music there, just like in Mississippi, are like very deep. They selected 5 bands to play throughout the year, and we were one of them, and we
Wow.
were super honored to be there. So
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how was that experience being in that space, and how did the evening unfold? Because I have an image in my head of how it started potentially and what it became.
well,
And I might be wrong.
you know, it was obviously like looking at the architecture was neat. The context of being a person of color in a government building that has significant like history was like, wow, you know, I wonder like 100 years ago, would anyone ever imagine that, you know, like we would be filling up this space and like bringing the energy into the space. And like that's what I think about playing a lot like in the South in general, is
Right.
that there's a lot going on, and to have the opportunity to bring like to claim the space and like start like healing and just, you know, I don't know. I get caught up
you
in
do
like
know,
the
and this
ideals
is
of
something
it.
we deal with,
Yeah.
and we need to be aware of at this very location.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why having this type of conversation
Yeah.
and sharing your experience
Yeah.
is very vital. It's vital.
Yeah.
And that's what leads to a better today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to say tomorrow. God, I'm getting misty. It leads to just a better world. So yes, thank you for keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
Keep
So
sharing.
it was incredible to be there. While we were there, you know, not a lot of artists get the opportunity to be at the governor's mansion.
sure.
While I was there, I probably talked too much, but I just wanted to be, like, as long as I had the opportunity, I wanted to.
Your voice.
Yeah, I had the voice. I had the ability to talk about friends and like chosen family and like people that I love and trust who are going through a very scary time right now with like a government continuously telling them that they are not welcome and they want them out. And so like to be able to be in that space and be like, hey, there's people who are contributing and being incredible members of our communities who are living in fear every single day. Like, and that's not just, it's not just one population. There's like so many populations that like are marginalized, and like we need to let them know that they have allies and that they're safe. And if they're not, like what can we do to change that, you know?
For sure.
So,
And putting, you know, I think we sometimes, all of us, can create sterile environments where we think we have empathy or we think we understand, but we're disconnected. But then where you actually interact with someone who you really are meeting the person who's living the experience that you think you knew about, suddenly it all changes. Suddenly. That's amazing. Is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, it was, aside from that, it was such an amazing experience that it started out so formal.
That's
you
what I
know?
was thinking.
Yeah.
That's where I was. Chandeliers,
Started out
here we go.
So formal. And everyone was seated, which is strange for us because normally we like people up and dancing and everything. And so eventually that's what it turned into, from everybody sitting up front to everybody working in the mansion, the caterers and everything.
The kitchen staff came out and was like dancing.
Yeah,
I love it.
It was
and
dope.
that was beautiful. Yeah,
I love it.
So it was so much fun.
So people were feeling the music. They were feeling the message. Even if they didn't literally know every word, they were connecting with you.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add, Michael?
My answer to this is very boring. My experience was we're playing a show, you know. The scenery around us changes, but we gotta focus on what we're doing.
Balance. We want both ends of the spectrum. All opinions are welcomed. All right. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. All right. On that funny note, I want to shift to a funny moment within this show. We always play a game. So inspired by the band's name, Chócala. We had so much fun coming up with this in our roundtable session. We are going to play a game called High Five, Take Five. So let's do our little video intro and then I'll explain. High five, take five. So, welcome back, and I hope you're ready for High Five, Take Five. I will explain how this is going to work. So as you saw in the video, there was a little prompt there. One said the spin cycle, one said the unicycle. So our contestant, let me introduce Alexis Rose here to you. Alexis, part of the Dream Team. She's going to go first, and she will get a little piece of paper that will have a word or a statement on it, like unicycle or spin cycle. She will give her best dance move to that prompt, inspired by the musical efforts of Benjamin at the keyboard. What the audience is going to do is going to try to guess what it is that she is dancing, what she is acting out. So feel free to yell it out. Don't be shy, all right? Unless you need to be shy, it's totally fine. And what we're going to have over here, our judges are going to decide whether Alexis's attempt at this is a high five, yay, or a take five, hit the road, all right? No, don't be nice. Do not be nice. It's more fun if they're not, and if you're terrible, that's funny too. All right, so, and we're gonna let the judges are gonna see what the prompt is. All right, so pick one out of the bowl, please. Don't show the audience. Let me see though. Oh, this is my favorite one. Okay, so you guys are trying to guess what she's doing. You can be inspired by the keys. Here we go. Remember, they're tight. They're tight. You gotta. Woo! Okay, we got it. Putting on skinny jeans. Your pants were baggy at first. Yeah. All right, is it a high five or a take five?
You give it a take five.
Only because she had to remind you they were tight.
I gotta say, take five.
I love it. Fantastic. All right, Claudio, you're going to go first?
Yeah.
All right, they're willing to play. I didn't know them before yesterday, so we came up with this game, and I'm like, they're either going to be really cool with it, or they're like, we're out of here. So, all right, pick one out of the bowl. All right. Oh, yes. Very exciting. Oh, yes. Okay. Show the band, but don't show the audience. All right, Benjamin.
I have a feeling like I'm gonna get take 5.
Keep going, keep going. Woo! Very good. Fork stuck in the garbage disposal. We would have taken spoon too. It happens to me far too often. All right, judges.
These are tough.
High five or take 5?
I'm gonna have to go. It didn't seem enough like a dance.
Very good point. It is supposed to be a dance. Yes, okay?
I love you, bro, but take 5. There was no fork action. You were putting things in the garbage disposal as opposed to being in the garbage disposal.
All right,
Yeah.
Lisa or...
My
Okay.
time.
All right,
Okay. Let's see.
okay.
All right.
show-
I
show-
feel like this happens often, so.
All right, we're ready for you, Benjamin. Yes! That's it. Oh, we're sleeping the alarm. Very nice. I like how you made sure.
Yes,
dancing. I like that. All right. Michael, what do you give her?
That's a high 5.
Whoa. All right.
Thank you.
High five. Does the audience agree? Yes. All right. Michael. The pressure's on. Okay.
Perfect.
Perfect. Pop the champagne bottle. I love it. All right, Lisa, what do you give him?
Give you a high 5, sir. That was great.
Very nice.
That was great.
Claudio?
I'm gonna give you a provisional high 5.
Provisional.
Because I want that to happen in real life with the champagne bottle. So
It was a risky move going for the saber pop
I
first.
got that, but I knew what it was. I mean, that's pretty impressive. You watch someone do that, and then you think, well, I could do that, right? Yeah. All right, who's our audience participant? Who's coming up? Is it Maddie? Come on, Maddie.
Yeah!
Maddie, come on over here. Maddie is no stranger to the games on LMR Live. She was our Jenga girl, right? Yes, did you see your picture in the video? Yes, no stranger to LMR. So, here we go. Last but certainly not least. Let me show them. All right?
Okay.
All right, bring it on, Benjamin. Eating a hot jalapeno. We got it. I think they got it right away. So, high 5 or take 5?
Got to give the high 5 for getting it right off the top. I mean,
All right.
High 5
High
because it
five.
was guessed immediately.
What do you think, Claudio?
High 5.
So, I mean, I think we did a good job incorporating the game, the band's name
Yes,
into
yeah.
the game.
It's
Do you agree?
fantastic.
That was
Yeah.
excellent.
So I'm going to open it up. Does anyone have a question of something specific they want to ask while you're here? Of them or their music? Anything? Gosh, everyone gets quiet. I put you on the spot. I have a question. This is from Carly. So, what is it like performing and working with family? And are there disadvantages?
It's
She's looking for dirt.
it's the best, honestly. There's a connection that you share with your sibling that you can't have with anybody else. And we listen to very different music. We're influenced by different things, but somehow when we're playing music together, we just know. We can feel it. We know where each other's going in the music, so it's phenomenal, and it gives us an opportunity. Claudio is a super busy person. I'm very busy myself, but he is very hard to pin down. And despite the fact that we live across the street from one another, we don't see each other any more than we did when we didn't live across the street.
No, I understand. My husband and I live in the same house, and I said I feel like I see other people a lot more, but it keeps it fresh. Keeps it fresh. All right.
Well, and music has always been a way for us to stay connected, so it's something that I very much appreciate and love.
So how is it not being part of the brother-sister duo? A relief?
It's fine.
No, I'm kidding.
It's I feel like maybe I'm becoming part of the family now.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's what I was expected to hear, because I think when you work closely and you're creating something like you are, I would imagine you can't help but feel like family.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing. Like, what does family even mean, right? It's what you decide how to define it. It doesn't necessarily mean, bloodline, right?
Yeah.
It's the people that you, bond with and connect with and can rely on. Yeah. I
I'll
feel
say
like
that
I'm part of your family now, too. No.
Yes.
I'm just, adopt me. No. Okay.
The only dirt is that we can argue like family sometimes.
Yeah.
All of us.
But I think that's the other thing that's great, if in those types of relationships that you can be as open and honest as possible and get that out to take that big step forward. I mean, if you don't, then there's just always that.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think it's a little bit of a head start that we had, that these guys already have that going on, because when you're creating with other people, and particularly the way we do it, where everybody's kind of pitching in to write the thing, as opposed to one person saying this is the way that's going to go, you got to have that open dialogue about what's going on. And the music, your personal expression, hopefully is as honest as it can be, but then fitting it together with everyone else, and you need that same honesty and to talk about, how to get it together.
Yeah. Do you have any advice on how to do that successfully, or because I think that's something we all can do better in dynamics, whether we're, working in a group or just meeting our fellow man on the street.
Yeah, I think staying genuine is a really good way to keep that, If it's your dark parts or your light parts, if it's genuinely you,
Right.
then it's easier for people to approach, and we all have empathy. And I think we all can see that in whatever shape it takes in other people, when people are being just honest
Totally.
about their situation, about what they're feeling. And I think when you do that, that's what makes it easier to have a band or, any kind of group that you want to keep together.
I always say you only owe people, anyone, respect and honesty. Like, that is all that you ever owe anybody else. And it's, like you said, it's a very palpable feeling. People know when you're being genuine. So I encourage everybody to just be themselves and have that reflect in their art form, because that's what connects people. So when
Definitely.
they can feel what you put into it.
Definitely. And that can transfer outside of what we consider standard art too, because if you're that biologist, or you're that philosopher, or you're that mathematician, whatever that you're immersing through that area, that expertise, that craft, I mean, that just as significantly as music or dance or visual art, whatever it may be. So I'm curious, I know you're not focused on the end goal, which I love, but what's your biggest hope for the group? Like, what's the dream big thing?
Mine is very short-sighted right now. I'm just really excited to write new songs.
Love it.
For the 3 years that we've been playing as a band, we've been playing the songs on this record that whole time, which has it's definite positives,
right?
Because we know those songs inside and out. And I think being able to play like we did last night without Davey wouldn't have been possible if they weren't like ingrained in us.
And I'm going to insert here because I think that's important for students to understand. You know, when you're learning lots, and there comes a point in your career where you start redoing the same thing a lot, and it can feel at times, it can be difficult, where it can get to feel stale, not even if whether it's something you've created yourself or doing, say, a role in an opera and you do it so many times, or you're cast in a musical and you're doing it on tour for 6 months. So I find it always helpful to make sure there's always a project that's new. There's always something, even if it's just the littlest bit of time that you're putting in something new to keep that spark and that creativity going. But I love that just to create new.
Yeah, just creating.
Yeah. How about you, Lisa?
I would have to say the same, and just I hope we get more opportunities to connect groups. That's something that's been very important for us in Charlotte, just highlighting musicians that maybe wouldn't have played a certain venue, or we partner with different organizations for fundraisers and things like that. So I hope to continue that type of work in this upcoming year.
Michael?
Caribbean shows?
Yes.
And remember, you adopted me, so I come.
I think it's always fun to play in new places. So once again, thanks so much for having us here, guys.
Thank you.
We're all curious people. We all like to travel, but like I said before, we think about the beach and the jungle when we play. So it would be nice to
be there.
actually be there and have a vista while we're playing our songs, looking out at the ocean with a bunch of people dancing. That seems like.
Well, here with the Living Music Resource at the University of Mississippi, we have a very clear thought process, and we're going to be showcasing this as we go throughout the year, and especially in the spring with a big event. But we believe when you come here, you become a child of Mississippi when you come to the University of Mississippi. And we had a guest come here years ago. They saw the sign, Ole Miss. And in their language, it meant child of Mississippi. And we've adopted that, and that's our little mantra. So we sincerely say to you, you are now children of Mississippi. You are welcome at any time to come back.
Thank you.
We'd be happy to have you here, and I've already shared with you a couple ideas of how we could get you back. But we welcome you with open arms. Am I speaking correctly? Anyone want to argue with me? Many people to thank. I want to thank our LMR supporters, our Secret Salon Society, our loyal viewers via the web, the College of Liberal Arts, the Department of Music, Amanda Fleiflet. I want to sincerely thank the Sarah Isom Center for Women and Gender Studies. They are making significant impact on this campus. They really are an example of how to partner and how to collaborate. And I want to specifically thank Teresa Starkey and Kevin Cozart. I want to thank my partner in crime, Brady Bramlett. And I want to thank the students who work so hard to develop their skills and are committed to their work. I want to again thank Ava, Haley, Reagan, Alexis, Lily, and Corinne. You're phenomenal, and I'm so glad you chose the University of Mississippi. Give a hand to them. I also want to thank Benjamin for being our house musician. And I have to remind you, what? The music research revolution continues. Thanks.